lost. I'm with Lawrence County Recovery, and this is Amanda, and she's with the QRT team. She works with the prosecutor's office. Hopefully you never have to meet her, and you never see me again. That would be the best thing that could ever happen for everybody. I hope one day that we work ourselves out of jobs. I'm a recovering addict. I've got 15 years clean and sober. I was a nurse that got addicted to pain pills and went to prison for 6.5 years for forging prescriptions. Not cool at all. Nothing. It's nothing like Orange is the New Black. Anything you see on the TV, it's 10 times worse. It's not a cool thing to do. I was the first convicted felon in my family. I was the first addict in my family. Decided to come home from prison and do something different, and me and my family established a drug and alcohol agency that also hits on mental health. It's called Lawrence County Recovery and Wellness. We're in Ironton. We try to get out and do quite a bit of things in the community. We're going to be sponsoring a prom promise that we will be doing next year before prom, and we usually come out, some people come and talk, we give away like big TVs, and we just ask you to sign something that says that night you will not drive and drink. You will not do any drugs and try to drink or drive because too many people die. At the age you are right now, I would love to look at every one of you and say, don't ever drink alcohol. Don't ever smoke pot. It's going to happen. Not that we want it to, and that's not not the point I'm trying to get to. However, things like that do occur. What do you do whenever you become addicted to a substance? Anybody got any ideas what happens when a substance runs your life and you no longer have control? I also teach a DUI program. In the last 6 months, I've had 3 seniors from Lawrence County that's had to come to DUI school because they got pulled over for driving under the influence. So we had to sign some papers, that way the school knew where they were. It's kind of a hideous thing that can happen. I hope no one in this room has ever had to deal with someone that has a substance abuse issue, because we're the worst people to deal with. When you love someone that has a substance use issue, you do not sign up necessarily for the kind of crazy that they're going to pour on your life. And if you do love someone like that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of stuff that I want to kind of hit on and talk about. Anybody hear of the pink cocaine? The gentleman that was in One Direction, he overdosed with the ketamine and all the MDMA. Don't know who that is, do you? I'm old.
We're old.
Yes. Okay. How about the guy from Friends? Gentleman that was a Friends actor. What's his name? Matthew Perry. Yep. He died of a drug overdose as well. There are so many different synthetic things out there that you can buy today. When I say a head shop, do you guys know what I'm talking about? When I talk about like places like Happy Camper or Huntington Happy Campers, or any of the smoke shops where you get the vape juice. Anybody know, see those, drive past them? You see these big signs, huge signs. Kratom, starts with K, they have them all lit up. They're going to try to sell it. I'm sorry?
Someone, I think, just said.
Oh yeah, Kratom. They are going to try to market it as something that's like synthetic, like the bark off a tree, and you can take this and it's not going to hurt you. It's all these things, and it's not true at all. We've had someone that has overdosed on Kratom. They don't talk about that a lot. We do a podcast at Lawrence County Recovery with Cletus T. Judd, and in the beginning of our podcast, we had the family come on and talk to us about it. They had no idea. Something you can go just down to the local store and buy. Sometimes it's in pill form, sometimes it's in liquids, in a variety of ways. It will alter your mental status. And that type of thing that you buy over the counter, it's nothing that like Narcan can take care of. Anybody in here not know what Narcan is? Raise your hand if you have no idea. Okay, so Narcan is the only thing that will stop an opioid overdose. The only thing. We have a foundation, it's called Virginia's Sake. We distribute Narcan to anyone, usually people that live in the country. I lived in the country. Jenny was my sister's best friend, and she was in recovery. She relapsed at her mother's home, and she overdosed in the bathroom and passed away. We can help a lot of people. I think we've had 1,500 people come through our doors for help, but we couldn't help someone that we loved immensely. It was real sad. So it's been our life's mission to make sure people know what Narcan is and you know how to get it. If you need Narcan, please reach out and talk to someone. You can go on Facebook pages. You can go to Ohio Harm Reduction. They'll send it to your house in a non-descriptive envelope. Where I'm at, Lawrence County Recovery, I have a mailbox, and it is in the very front of our building. It's teal, and it says For Jenny's Sake. You just open it and take the Narcan that you need. We've been contacted and been told that Narcan saved quite a few people, that they just stopped by and got it from our facility. Try to put some in blessing boxes as well, just because it's a medication that can't hurt you. If they give you Narcan and you're not having an opioid overdose, it's not going to do anything to you at all. I'm going to let Amanda kind of talk about the overdose aspect and the team that she represents for a second.
Hi guys, how are you this evening? Good. So my name is Amanda Pizzelli. I work for the Lawrence County Prosecutor's Office and I'm a law enforcement agent. So we have QRT, it's called Quick Response Team, and we're all law enforcement led. Everybody that's in our team is law enforcement except for one peer supporter. And what we do is when someone overdoses, we get those referrals from law enforcement reports or from family members or from EMS. They send us a report that says, hey, this person overdosed, and what we do is follow up with them. We go to their house, we knock on the door, we get in contact with them or their family, and we offer them treatment. Most of the time, Kathy and her team comes out with us. We always have a recovery center that comes with us, and then our peer supporter always comes with us as well. So every time that we go there, even if we don't make contact with that person who overdosed or with their family, we leave what we call a resource bag at their door. And in that resource bag, we have treatment information, fentanyl test strips, and Narcan. So I also investigate all of the fatal overdoses that's happened here in Lawrence County. And Ohio has passed a law that if we can, without a doubt, figure out where these people had gotten their substance from, we're able to charge those people with involuntary manslaughter. That is the highest charge that we can charge them with if we are able to find out where they got that drug from.
Has that happened in Lawrence County?
Yes, we have had that happen in Lawrence County. I think last year we've had 4 indictments for involuntary manslaughter. So that means we've had 4 people that's been charged with involuntary manslaughter. So far this year we've had 1 indictment. The reason why those numbers has changed drastically is because the investigator that we had on our team, he had went to another department, and I've kind of been just kind of interim for the moment. So far this year, we have had 16 fatal overdoses. That's a lot. That's a lot for Lawrence County. And then reported overdoses, we've had 65 surviving overdoses. And the reason why those people have survived is because of Narcan. So anytime that if you guys know of anybody who needs any assistance, you can always reach out to the prosecutor's office. You can ask for me. You can go to Kathy or any other, your teachers, any adult that can help you guys out with that. They know exactly how to get a hold of somebody. So if you know someone who is in need, obviously, please reach out. So another part of our program with the prosecutor's office and the QRT is called deflection. It's a treatment in lieu of conviction. So what we do is we have our peer supporter who goes to court. She gets those people from court, or sometimes before they get to court. If they have a possession charge, instead of them getting convicted of that charge, they are brought into our deflection program. So they're in that deflection program for 1 year. That's the standard. Most of the time there has been instances where we've had to make that a lot longer than a year, because before you can graduate the deflection program and not be a felon, you have to have a GED or adult diploma, and you have to have a job. And those are the biggest things that I'm seeing in my program, is a lot of people who does go through the program, they don't have a GED and they don't have a job. We've had quite a few that has graduated from our deflection program, and they're doing great. We obviously haven't heard anything from them, so that's always a good thing. So if you, like I said, if you guys ever need Narcan, no questions asked, please reach out to us, okay?
I'm going to talk about the mental health aspect real quick of drug and substance use. When I say methamphetamine, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, or if you've heard it, seen it on TV, something like that. Okay, so methamphetamine, I think sometimes is the worst drug possible, and I know, I could say that about a lot of drugs, but we're seeing locally, at least I am, a very huge onset of folks that'll start using methamphetamine on the weekends to stay up, like a party kind of drug, and they just like the way it makes them feel. After doing that drug for a period of time, you stay awake, like it's a stimulant. You do not want to sleep. Well, your brain really can't take that. Our bodies are not made to stay awake for days at a time, for 36 hours straight. Starts to affect our mental health. Mental health has had a huge impact locally because of the substance use. There's something called a meth psychosis, and this is where someone they'll go into a psychosis. Someone that's never had any issues with mental health before, not schizophrenic, anything like that, and all of a sudden they're paranoid. All of a sudden they're looking out the windows because they think someone's after them. They will start dismantling electronic devices because they think they're bugged. It kind of gets a little weird, and there's no way of talking them out of it. I've seen some folks that kind of poke and prod those kind of people, which is not cool at all. It's terrible. Could you imagine being scared to death and then someone feeding that and scaring you even more? I say that because as you go locally, like if you drive through Ironton, sometimes you will see folks. I see a lot more people out walking than I had previously. There's a larger homeless population. Those people probably never got up that day and decided, guess what? I'm going to just say F it, and I'm going to do drugs, I'm going to not see my family, and I'm going to live on the streets because I want to sleep under the bridge. I have never met one person that wanted to do that ever. But you don't know the hold that the drug can have on you. And even after quitting those drugs, the long-term effect is horrendous. A lot of times they don't, I call it come back. Sometimes they'll have been sober for years, and they'll call me like, okay, Kathy, help me talk me through this. I know this is not real. I know I'm just being paranoid. I know this is a result of my substance use, but I can't, I really feel like some things are going on around me right now. It's real scary. To the point where they've hurt themselves, they've hurt others. I think meth is the worst drug possible for that very reason. If you know someone that has issues with meth in those psychosis, don't try to poke and prod them. That's not funny. It's not. If you see somebody walking homeless like in town or something, they never meant to be that way. I promise you they had a family that loved them and supported them at one point in time. I say that because you just don't really know what a drug addict looks like. You think you do, but you don't. And as Amanda was talking about like felony charges, I have 4 felonies, F3, pattern of corrupt activity. And that has hindered me. I was a nurse, lost my nursing license, threw that away. It's not even worth the paper it was printed on. My family and I, we opened this business. I cannot own this business because convicted felons cannot own businesses like that. I would not be able to rent a house because they do a background check, and who wants somebody with 5 felonies renting off of them? Not very many people. It's really hindered me professionally and personally, and I would hate to see others kind of go down that road. So the best thing to do is when there's an issue going on, talk about it. We're big talkers in our family now. Just because you see a counselor or a therapist doesn't mean that they're crazy. If you have to take medications, I hate when they refer to it as their crazy pills. I'm like, it's not that. A lot of us have a chemical imbalance that kind of gets fed, and then we have some deficiencies once we start using a substance. If someone you love struggles in those areas, there's a lot of resources available that were not available previous. When I got in trouble in 2008 and 9, there were 3 agencies in Lawrence County that you could go for counseling for substance use, and 4 for maybe mental health. That was it. They didn't know what to do with somebody like me. I was a college graduate. I had a good job, husband, family, the whole 9 yards. And the judge looked at me and told me that I was a threat to society. That as a mother and a college-educated person, I should have known better. So I got a sentence of 6.5 years in prison. I had not had one speeding ticket in my life. I married my high school sweetheart. I screwed him all up. He had no idea that I was on drugs. I was a functioning addict, which is one of the worst kinds because it takes a little bit of time to get caught up. As they start, asking questions, I have to create all this chaos. I call it smoke and mirrors in my family. So mom, dad ain't talking to my sister, my husband. They're not talking to them, and nobody knows where I'm at. If you notice some things like that with somebody, ask some questions. No one ever asked me any questions because they didn't want to. And at the time, our family wasn't educated enough to do so. I grew up in a family, great family, but we never sat down and talked about our feelings. We didn't talk about how we felt. We didn't, if something made us mad, it was like a big pink elephant in the room when we walked all the way around it. Looking back now, I wish that we would have been more, we would have talked about things a lot more. My son, he was 8 years old when I went to prison. He had no idea why Mom went to prison. He thought I killed somebody because that's why people go to prison. He thought that I took some old person's medicine and they died. So that was one hell of a conversation to have in prison, sitting, talking to your son and explaining to him why Mommy's not going to be home till he's ready to graduate high school. It was rough. It was rough on my family, and I take it real serious. A lot of people don't, and they'll tend to kind of, laugh about it if they see someone that's struggling. I've never met one prostitute that wanted to put a needle in her arm. Never have. Guaranteed she did not want to do that. She did not want to turn tricks to go get dope. But guess what? When you're dope sick, and that's a horrible thing to say, but going through withdrawal, you will damn near do anything. So your body doesn't feel the way that it does when you're going through that. I'm telling you guys all this just to kind of be sympathetic. You don't know what the person beside you is going through. We've had a lot of loss, in our community in regards to mental health. My husband had 3 best friends. 2 of them killed themselves. It was just the stress and strain of life. Looking back now, we're like, man, we've seen it. He was going through it. We should have probably, went and talked to him a little bit more, asked more questions. But you don't want to intrude into someone's space. You don't want to ask them questions because it's not comfortable, or that question's never been asked to you. And you may not be comfortable asking those questions, but I guarantee there's someone here, there's an adult, someone here that you could tell your issues to, and I promise that there can be some intervention. And that doesn't always have to be bad intervention either. I wish that I would have said something when my husband's friend, we knew he was struggling, and we talked to him a little bit, and next day they called and told us that they found him hanging. He hung himself. If you've never endured pain like that before, it's rough. It sucks. And imagine how bad life must be for that to be your only exit. That's scary to me. If there's anybody that's sitting here and you're contemplating your mental health, and we have good days and bad days, but if you're really seriously contemplating something, talk to someone. Doesn't mean they're going to put you in a padded room or something like that. It means that you may have a chemical deficiency and you may just need some medication, or maybe you just need to talk to somebody that'll listen. Some of our parents aren't really good listeners. I have become an excellent listener. I mean, my son's 24 now, and if he doesn't answer the phone at 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings, I was like, he's on drugs. He's doing dope. Go down there and get him. He's high. He's not. He was up last night playing his PlayStation. But for me, I go dead in a ditch every time because I try to be over vigilant. If you have someone in your family that's a drug addict, the chances of you becoming addicted are 50% higher. After I was in prison and went through a program, I start asking some questions of myself and my family. And I'm thinking, wow, man, I got 5 uncles. Every one of those uncles have a 5th of gin in their car, and they drink it on lunch, and they don't chase it with anything. That's not right. I did not know that alcohol was an addiction. I was a nurse, I was educated, but it was so socially acceptable that I didn't think anything of it. That was just Uncle Michael, and he gets drunk, that's what he does. Not cool. I got to sit down, have some conversations with them, and really come to terms with some things and understanding that addiction is a lifelong process, and so is having a mental health issue. You will never take pills to stop the mental health issue, and you always are going to have to do some form of work in order to feel good every day. And if you know that you have some depression or something going on, talk to somebody. Tell them what your triggers are. I get seasonal depression really bad. When the days get real short, oh my God, it kills me. I love sunshine and being outside. My family, they're aware. If I'm not out doing something or if I'm laying on the couch, that's not like me. Usually I'm everywhere. They know to ask me some questions like, hey, what's going on? Are you feeling okay? I still see a therapist once a month now, but I do, and I know that she's available anytime that I do need to talk. I've made sure that my whole family has had the availability to talk to a therapist because some of the things that happens in families that have substance abuse issues, they're not pretty. And you don't really want to talk about them, but it's necessary. I know I just threw a bunch of information at you guys, and I've said a lot of things that may not resonate with you right now. But if there's any time that it ever does, go on Facebook, send a message to Lawrence County Recovery, and I promise you someone will message you back. We will get you in contact with someone. There's resources for a variety of people. I don't care if you got insurance, all that stuff. That means nothing to me. We'll make sure that you get connected with the people that you need, or if there's just someone that you're worried about. Tell someone. Tell one of your instructors here. Perhaps, they can then get them in contact with someone, because I don't think any of us want to see any family or any community go through some of the sadness that we've seen happen locally. I brought some other things down here. As we leave, you guys are more than welcome to come and take candy and things. You just can't take the Narcan. I got to put that up. I can't hand that out. There's these little bags. And these bags, they cost, I don't know, about $18 a piece. And they're important because we grew up like in Appalachia, which if I was given antibiotics 5 years ago and I didn't take them all, I put them in the cabinet with the other antibiotics I had. Or there could be a variety of medicines in your at home, grandma's or whatever. This right here simply opens and it has like a charcoal activate in it, and you can pour liquid, pills, anything in here and run it back and forth, and it will deactivate that medication. So then it becomes non-usable, which is good to somebody like me. Because again, in recovery, I do not take any form of a pain pill, any kind of opiate, anything like that. It scares the crap out of me because I didn't mean to get addicted the first time. I didn't really realize what I was doing, but I didn't try to stop it either. But now I know if we get finished in our family taking any kind of medicine, we get this, put it in there, deactivate it, it's safe to throw in the trash. I give these away for free all the time. Again, if there's someone that could utilize this, please let us know. Would love more than anything to see a lot of people using this, not just flushing medications down the toilet or just letting them stack, and then suddenly you're going in to clean it out and, well, you find a bottle of Grandma's Lortabs. Does anyone have any questions for me? Any personal questions? Usually somebody's got a felon question. Like, how was prison? What did you eat there? What did you do there? With Red Ribbon Week, I want you guys to really kind of let this resonate and take this home with you. If you are suffering with a substance use issue or someone you love there is help. People do get better, and they can engage in a recovery lifestyle that can make life pleasant for you. I really appreciate you guys allowing us to come out and speak today.
Can you mention to them, because I think some may not understand what it truly is, like drinking, and you have to drink a little bit.
Yeah. So Ms. Hall wants me to talk about what addiction really is and kind of how that resonates. The best way that I can usually explain it to someone is whenever a doctor wrote me a prescription for these pain pills, I could take 2 of them, and I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Okay, I could work for 16 hours straight, and I thought I was the smartest person. I was more edgier. I could do things. I talked better, and life was just better. After about a month or so of that, I had to take 3 to get that same result. That's called tolerance. My tolerance was raising. You see that a lot also with alcohol. It may have taken 2 beers to get someone drunk in January. February, they're up to 3 beers. By March, they're like, man, 3 ain't hitting it. Let me just go buy them little shooters. I'm just gonna buy this straight alcohol. It'll save on the liquid, and I'll just do that. When you start developing a tolerance, your body quits manufacturing a lot of the chemicals it needs in order to just survive. If you don't give your body that substance, it's going to let you know real quick. And you're going to go through, when I talk about withdrawal, it's like the worst flu that you've ever had, times about 10, and there's nothing that stops it for about 10 days. Alcohol withdrawal and withdrawing from benzos are the 2 things that can kill you. If you've never seen anyone withdraw from alcohol, it's the most horrendous thing I've ever seen in my life. I said meth was the worst drug. Sometimes I had a deal with God when I was in prison. I was like, listen, I can't believe that you chose me to be the addicted person in my family. Why not my sister? Why was it me? Why is it me? And you do that whenever you're in early recovery. And then I sat down and you know what? I was like, thank God that my drug of choice was not alcohol. Because you can walk in anywhere and buy alcohol. It's socially acceptable. Hell, a lot of times people want you to drink. They give it to you. And they don't think a thing of it if you go in and buy a 6-pack of beer and go to your car. But if I would come out here and I would have Oxycontin and I was snorting it off that table, everybody'd have something to say about that. Or if I was kind of shooting dope in my veins, and everybody'd have something to say about that. Alcohol is one of those drugs that can be hidden very easily because it's socially acceptable, and you can grab it and get it anywhere, really. But when that tolerance happens, it's amazing that you really don't see it at first, and then you do. And then you're like, wow, how do I stop this? By the time you're starting to question how to stop it, your brain is like disconnected from the rest of you. And it doesn't want you to stop, because the only thing it knows is when you have that substance in you, you feel this great. And that's a hard situation to be in. I also talk about tolerance in food. Like a lot of us just sit down and eat, and maybe today I can eat a cheeseburger and fry and it fills me up. Well, next month, man, that's really not getting it. I'm gonna have to add something else to that, add something else to that. That's the tolerance that you start getting. A lot of overdoses happen after someone that's been sober for a little period of time goes back out to use. Because their tolerance when they went in rehab was like way up here, right? And then now they've not used in, let's say, 90 days. They're thinking they can use the same amount they did the day they walked in. They cannot. They overdose and die. And it's oftentimes before anyone even knows that they're using. I can't imagine Amanda's job and going and talking to some folks that have lost loved ones. I've lost so many people to overdose, I can't even count them anymore. It's crazy. It makes you want to kind of stop and be like, man, is anybody getting well? And then you walk into a room and you see a mom and a dad, they got custody of their kids back, they just got a house and a job, and they're doing all the things they always wanted to do. And you're like, okay, this works, this works. Relapse sometimes is a part of recovery. It's not part of my story, and I thank God for it every day. When anyone calls me to try to come to any form of treatment, whether it be mental health or substance use, I always want to talk to them. I got questions, because I know they didn't want to use. I don't want to use. I don't want to go back out. I know what I lost. It scares me to death. And I will constantly, what'd you do? How do you know you're going to relapse? Like, tell me what happened 3 days before, and we kind of talk through it. It's just one of the scariest things ever, because one use and it could be done. I mean, you could, again, dope is not dope anymore. 20 years ago, pain pills were pain pills that a doctor prescribed you. Today, you don't know if it's something pressed. I'd hate to know how many pressed narcotics and things that are coming in that have, fentanyl in it, parafluorofentanyl. It's ridiculous. I was talking about the pink cocaine. You probably need to Google that up later and read on it. Dude thought he was buying cocaine. It was pink. That's cool. Let's do this. Has MDMA in it. It has ecstasy in it. It has methamphetamine in it. I mean, all the things is right there. And there's some forms of fentanyl that Narcan can't even reverse. Mm-hmm. Our drug dealers are not the most reputable people in town, okay? They're not going to be telling you, like, I got this now, but there's a little chance you might die if you take it. That's not what they say. It's a debilitating disease, but you don't have to suffer, and you don't have to suffer alone especially. There's a lot of 12-step meetings. There's a lot of, just a bunch of meetings. I don't know, when I say 12-step meetings, you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. AA, NA, things of that nature. It's a pretty good bunch of people that come together for a common goal, and that's to stay sober. Anyone have any other questions? All right, you guys have been great. Thank you. Oh, that's how I turn it off.